Hey everyone, welcome back to Average Joe's Tech Reviews with your host Joe. So good to see you. I hope you're all doing well. Definitely had a week of just sickness in the house again. So today's review is going to be something that I own and I've had for about a year and a half now, going on a year and a half. Bought it back in August of 2021. Had gotten it through, I believe, at the time, through either a GoFundMe kind of style. I don't remember exactly how I purchased it through, but what we're looking at is a fun product that I've actually used a lot. I've taken it on a lot of trips with me, and I've especially for like if I've had to travel around to preach at different churches throughout the state, this thing has come with me, and it's been a lifesaver for workflow and stuff like that. So let's take a look at it, shall we? And here it is. You're like, what is it? This is actually a portable 4K monitor. I was looking at the time for one of these, trying to figure out, and I think this had popped up again, kind of like the tidbit popped up on Instagram. Again, it's like everything knows what you want before you even want it, or before you think about it. Or while you're thinking about it, it puts it in front of you and you're like, well, let's take a look. The price was right on it, and compared to some other portable monitors. And yeah, so I kind of trusted the specs that I saw, with it being a 4K monitor, with its ability to get nice and bright and, be able to connect well to your computers. Watched a couple of videos about it and was like, all right, maybe I'll give this thing a shot. And so I did. I pulled the trigger, and this is it. It's made by a company called Intehill, Intehill, which, as I found out, is a company out of China, and they make this monitor and other versions of this monitor, which we'll talk about at the end of the video. But at the time, they were only offering, I think, back in August of 21, there wasn't a lot of choices. This particular 4K monitor, there was another 4K monitor, same design, everything, and it was touchscreen. But I didn't feel comfortable getting a touchscreen, mostly because if I'm using it as my extended screen, I was like, I'm not going to be touching it a lot. I'm going to be using my mouse and keyboard and all that stuff. So I didn't feel like paying the extra few dollars for the touchscreen because I don't plan on using it. Excuse me. It's kind of like my Lenovo laptop, for the one I have now, has a touchscreen on it, and I barely used it, even though it came with it, So the fact that it didn't come with it on the new one didn't exactly bother me. So back to this thing. So this is an Intehill 4K monitor. This fancy carbon fiber cover comes with it, magnetically attaches to the back right here. So we'll kind of talk about some of the features. So we have this magnetic cover. So it works as a cover, which is nice because when I put this in the laptop bag or the camera bag or whatever, it's nice and protected. Screen doesn't get damaged. And then it folds back like this, and then has a nice little bend here, so you can kind of set this up as a stand. And I'll talk about the downsides of this particular cover. And in fact, I think since I've purchased the thing, when I was looking on the website earlier, just kind of looking at the specs of it, and some of the new ones they have out, it looks like they have changed the design of some of the covers, and specifically for this particular model one that I have, they've changed it a little bit to make it better. But we'll talk about just this one that I have here. So let's talk about what we have here besides a cover. Here it is. Bezels are nice and thin all the way around. You just got your bottom part here with the Intel. Very thin and very light. Let me look at the details of the weight, because I did want to make sure I pulled that up, because this thing is very, very light. It says here it's 880 grams. I mean, that's pretty light. I mean, this thing it has like no weight, and you're kind of like, does it work? This is a full 15.6 inch monitor. It doesn't feel real sometimes. It's a beautiful metal frame that surrounds the screen, nicely finished on the back. It just feels good. I mean, it's super thin. Oh, excuse me. It is super thin, so you can bend it and maybe even break it pretty easily. But it feels sturdy. It feels nice. It just feels nicely designed, and it looks nice too. Like, it's very simple. It's not huge. Like I know some of the ones that had popped up on my Instagram at the time were like something like this, or they had like ones where it attaches to your laptop and like slides out. And I was like, no, I would like to have something that matches the screen size of my laptop, because my laptop's normally the 15.6 inch, whether it's, oh, excuse me again, wake up. Whether it's like my MacBook Pro or the Legion, it's nice to have something that matches the screen size, and also it's nice to have a bigger screen. Like if I'm using it to extend this little man here, the Surface 8 here, I have something bigger to use next to that screen. So yeah, what got me was the fact that it was 4K, 100% RGB. Adobe RGB, 100% Adobe RGB, which, you know, especially if I'm going to use this for maybe video editing or maybe some photography while I'm traveling, and I can have the second screen to work on it. So I was like, oh, all right, let's give this thing a shot. It came with, in the box, 2 USB-C cables, and one is used for power and one is used for data transfer. So basically one to keep it charged or keep it running, because it doesn't have a battery. It doesn't just turn on when you want it to. It has to be plugged into continuous power, whether using a brick. It requires over 30, like basically above 30 watt to 45 watt brick to run it if you're going to run it by USB. And it can run off the laptop with a USB to USB C to C. Because if you try to power it with USB 3.0 to USB-C, it does not power. It doesn't have enough power to activate it. Also, depending on the computer or laptop that you're using, you may only have to use one plug that is powered directly from the device, which I only recently discovered, because usually I was plugging in on this thing both wires. I was plugging in one for the screen for the HDMI from USB-C, and I was also using power either from the device or like using my the device I showed you a few videos ago, which was the Goal Zero power bank that I have. So let me go ahead and I'll kind of show you the features here. So on the front is just the screen. On the back is, you know, you can kind of see the thing there, and it just has that's it. Nothing fancy on the front or the back. On the side here we have, okay, best as we can see it. Let's maybe increase the. There we go. All right, so as best as this thing can show you, we have headphone jack. We have a USB-C port right here, and this USB-C port is for attaching peripherals, which I didn't realize till most recently as well. I just never used this port. I thought at first it was power, and nope, wasn't. Then you have your this clicker right here. It's a little movable up-down thing right here. I know their camera's not getting it the best, but and that it's pushable and movable, and so this accesses your menu on the screen when it's turned on, and then you have your power and the little light that lets you know that it's turned on. On the other side, we have mini HDMI input, and then 2 USB-Cs. One can be used for power, and one can be used for data or whatever. So, pretty simple inputs. I mean, I found out when I first bought it that I needed to kind of pump that power into the one, and I would always, and for some reason when I was doing this one, the bottom one seemed to work for transferring the screen, excuse me, and the top one would have to be used for power, and of course I always forget every time, and it's like a playing game with it, especially if you're wanting to pump the power in it. A little something on the screen there. So yeah, this thing travels really well because it fits right into my computer bag, because it's 15.6 inches, so it's the same size of a normal size laptop, and I'm able to just kind of put it in there. So it travels real well, and I pull it out, and normally up until recently I was using, 2 sets of cables to get it all plugged in and get it set up next to my computer and be good to go. All right, so let's talk about this cover and the ups and downs of the cover before we actually turn on the device. So it magnetically attaches. It's not like a super strong magnet, just, but it's strong enough to keep it on, close it. It's not sliding off, things like that in your bag. So basically to set it up, you just kind of set up your thing, and that's it. It has 2 little rubber feet on the bottom here But I'll tell you what, like right now it's sitting on my big, LED, RG, whatever RGB lighting, giant desk pad here, and so it won't move, it won't fall down. But if this was like on a regular, like because my desk has this harder rubbery material on it, so stuff doesn't slip. But if you're on like a regular table, like a regular desk that's smooth, like kind of like this wood here, I mean, all you do is give it a little bit of shakes, and this thing will slide itself and kind of flatten down and fall down. So like a lot of times when I was at hotel rooms or coffee shops using this to study with, I would normally I'd fold it, but I would also kind of move it back. Like a lot of times on the hotels, at the little desk to work on in your room, there might be like the lamp with all the plugs, on it. And so I'd kind of set it up so the back thing here was kind of pressed up against the lamp so it wouldn't fall down. So it wouldn't like just slip and fall. And even when it has done that, nothing's broken, nothing's happened, never hit issues. So let's get ready to kind of show you how simple it is to use. Get this bad boy working up again. There we go. I am continuing to use the keyboard that I was sent here, and just continue to use it for a long period of time. So I've got here a data transfer USB-C cable. I have discovered there are different types of USB-C cables. Some are just for power and some have data transfer capabilities, and this thing knows what the difference is, and I learned, oh, this one's not working, blah, blah, blah. So let's go ahead. I'm going to plug it into the USB-C on the Surface Pro 8 here, and we're going to move this back a little bit so I have a little room to play with. So depending on where you usually put your monitor, for me, I always have it to my right, which can be good or bad depending on how you set this up. But the thing is, the HDMIs for the inputs are on the left side of the screen. So, you need a longer one if you're going to end up moving it over here to have the wire wrap around the entirety of the monitor. But if, you can easily set it up just like this. So here we go. Popping in the bottom USB-C. And there you go. It turns on with the logo of Intehill. Automatically is detected. Gives me a little thing that says, well, power shortage causes restart or flicker, connect an external power source. Every time I saw that, I would panic thinking, oh no. Because I think at the time I was using I don't know if it was the laptop that was causing the problem, or it might have been the cord I was using. And I have noticed, like, this cord works perfectly. With whether I was plugging it into the Apple, the Lenovo Legion, and the Surface here, it connected, no issues. But for some reason, one of my other USB-C cables, it would detect, but all of a sudden, this would flicker, and this would constantly be like it's still connecting to the monitor. Like you saw, like on the Windows 8, the screen kind of shrank a little bit and then popped into place to let you know that it had connected. But it would constantly be doing that, and then I couldn't do anything because it was trying to connect here, and I was like, oh, I need to attach a cable to then give this thing power. Now, obviously, with the Surface Pro 8, there's the two USB-Cs, and I could use both USB-Cs, but because I maybe, obviously, like if I'm doing pictures or videography or anything like that, I kind of need this second USB-C to use for my multi-port to plug in the SD card to data transfer and all that stuff. So I got to make sure like I have an access port available. But here's something cool that I only recently discovered, because I had never used this side of the screen with this OTG. It's labeled OTG. And what I learned only recently was that it's for peripherals. Like you can plug in a keyboard, a mouse, whatever. And I had never known that. I just always attempted to try and plug the power in there, or maybe even try the HDMI because I'd forget, and just, it's like, that's just me. That's just me. I'm a silly guy. And sometimes that just fades. So here I have one of my little SSDs that I use when I was upgrading and refurbishing some computers. This is a M.2 SSD in here, but I'm gonna show you that all I gotta do is just plug it in right here, and over here, this PC just made a check mark for me, and what do I know? Ooh, sorry. Still getting used to this thing. Likes to be flat on the ground. There we go. And there it is. My 256 SSD pops up on the monitor here. In fact, let me see if I can zoom in to kind of show you best I can here between the two computers. There we go. Works really well. It shows the hard drive. I can look at it. I can transfer stuff. This one's actually empty because I use a different hard drive right now, I believe, for doing my video editing and transfer between computers. But the seamless transition between, let's just open up a regular file explorer here. It's very seamless transition between the two computers. No hiccups, no nothing. I can actually set my display settings for this screen. There it is, number 2. It knows it's to the right. It knows it's kind of larger. And then I can scale it. Right now it's 300%, and it's 3840 by 2160. So beautiful 4K. I can change the brightness in the menu here. So let's kind of move this over. All right, so I made a little change here. I've turned off the lights in the top fan above me. And let's get rid of this. We don't need to show this anymore. And so I just kind of want to show you what the screen looks like when you're trying to do stuff with it. So a lot of times for me, right now it's set to 3840 by 2160 from the Surface, and the same thing from my Lenovo and all that. And it has 300%. Usually what I do to kind of match the size of the computer I'm working with, so that's at 200%. So here's the mouse. We have had no lag, no nothing between getting things through here. Just to kind of show you, this is me just dragging a file over, and it's no lag at all. I mean, just smooth as can be. What I forgot to mention was the only other thing I ever used, and the reason I got this size screen, was because I've used the Duet app, if anyone has ever used that, the DUET app. And with the Duet app, you can download it on your phone, on your iPad, and then you can plug your iPad or phone into your computer and use that device as an extended screen. And even connected like that and at lower settings, all this, it just was never as smooth as this, okay? But let's go ahead and click the button here, and there we go. Okay, so here is the menu. Let me try and zoom in so you can actually see it a little better. Oh, and it disappeared because, you know, I wasn't doing anything with it. All right, menu. Okay, so our options are, we have brightness. Like I said, I can play with the brightness by clicking it, that button, clicking it over, highlights whatever I want to use here, okay? And I can click it again, and then I can control the brightness of my screen. And there we go. We're dimming it down. There we go. Now I was wondering when the camera would finally kind of see the change, but depending on where I am, normally like in a hotel, it'll be at 100. Now to back out of the menu, there's the little button right above that's like the power button, but it has the power button symbol, but it also has the loopy arrow button, or it goes away on its own. But just to show you, like, okay, so now I press that button, and now I'm back in this mode, and then I'm back here, and then we can change the image. We can play around with the color temp. We can set up for game mode. I believe this can do HDR, and you can have your adaptive sync and stuff like that may work with NVIDIA. I've never tested those features. Sorry, it goes away pretty fast, which is kind of nice. It doesn't just stay up there. Then you have your OSD settings, which I've actually never touched those before. You can reset the whole thing, and then you've got your where your signal source is coming from. So it's coming from the Type-C one, which is the bottom input here, and then you got Type-C 2, and then you have your volume control for the sound, which, like I said, it has volume. But I don't use it because it's kind of pointless when you're using a laptop or using your Surface, whatever else you're connecting it to. The only reason I would say that I would care about the volume is if, like, I know some people will sometimes use these devices for, yeah, you know what I'm trying to say, Xbox and PlayStation for traveling with that. And I don't know anyone personally that's done that. In fact, I'm the only person I personally know that has used this. Intehill 15.6 4K portable monitor that I have been using now for just about a year and a half. Bought this back in August of 21, like I said, and I wanted to make sure I was being honest and knowing exactly when I had purchased this thing. What did I say? There were other versions of this that are now available. Like I said, there is a touch screen of this monitor, and then there's a whole plethora of monitors they have now after looking at their website, which I'll link below, and how you can buy it below. And so what would I do differently? Well, first off, when I got this, obviously, like I said, this thing can be a little annoying on a smooth desk, on a smooth table. I would have probably, if I thought about it ahead of time, or if I knew it was going to be as much, but like I said, I didn't really treat it as much. I was just excited to have it and to have this tool to help with my workflow, to do my programs, be able to edit, but also when I'm studying, I could have other things on this screen, or have my Word document here and have other things on the computer, whatever. I was just like, so I just adapt. Sure, it's a little annoying, but it's not annoying enough for me to be like, it's a piece of junk and get rid of it. No, I just worked with it, and I didn't really feel like spending money on something else to make it more usable. Like, I mean, now, like a year and a half later, I would consider, because right now I'm not traveling as much, but I may start traveling again in these next 3 months, where I'll be traveling more for teaching and preaching for churches. And so I might consider getting like these $10 portable monitor. Oh, the computer went to sleep. It's okay. These portable monitor, like little stands that would hold it, that would keep it a little bit upright, a little bit higher. I like it that it's at the same level as my laptop. And what's nice is, because of this bottom bezel here, if you think about it, that's almost sometimes how thick a bottom of a more prominent laptop might be. So this thing almost sits bezel the edge here, top to bottom, with most laptops. So it's almost like it would be weird to have it a little higher, but I would do that knowing that at least I could set it up and not have to worry about it, and I could set it up kind of anywhere I want at that point, like on the desk, to be more comfortable. But that would be the only thing I would really care about. As for their product line, as you'll see in the link below, they have obviously touchscreen versions of this. They have 4K, they have 1080p monitors, they have specific monitors they're aimed towards gaming, like for more like the type of monitors you would want to take with you to travel with, like an Xbox or things like that. If you were doing that, I don't travel with my Xbox. They have, all right, the joys of technology. Batteries died in my microphone when I was in the middle of talking about the specs of this device. So in my world, I am starting from scratch again, where I'm going to talk about the specs. But to you guys, it'll be like a split-second cut in the video, and then switching over to me laughing like this, because I'm just like, wow, I'm a weirdo, because I saw it blinking at me like batteries are dying, and I was like, oh, we'll make it, and no, I didn't. So kind of have to start myself from scratch here. I know I talked about kind of the usability of this device and how well it works for my workflow, but let's kind of talk about some of the specs here. And now that I have the proper specs to look at, so this is an IPS screen that's 15.6. As you know, it's 4K, the 3840 by 2160. Has a 60 hertz refresh rate, 400 nit brightness. It says it's Adobe RGB 100%. I don't know how to test that or make sure if that's 100% accurate. I don't know how to do that. It weighs 1.94 pounds. Like I said, to me, it's like nothing. It doesn't add much weight to when I travel. Its dimensions are 14.06 by 8.94 by 0.39 inches. That is some super thin monitor right there, I'll tell you what. Yeah, 4 millisecond response time, and CNC aluminum. Like I said, I called it metal, but it's aluminum, and like I said, it feels great to the touch. It looks great. And they have many other models now available than when I first purchased it. They have this model. They have the touchscreen version of this model. They have 17-inch monitors. They have 15.6-inch monitors, and I think just under 14-inch monitors, like 13 point something. And they have 4K, and they have 1080p, and I think one of their newest ones is an OLED 4K. I'm happy with this. This is pretty future-proof to me. I mean, you're talking about a 4K monitor with the Type-C connections to connect to my devices. I don't know about you, but that's pretty future-proof to me. I just said future-proof to me. And so I have no reason to get rid of this thing. I don't even have a reason to upgrade it. Like I said, when I have tech that I really like, and I feel that it's kind of future-proofed in a way, why, if I like it and it works really well, especially for what I'm doing, I don't have any reason to upgrade this monitor. Like, of course, that would be a different story if it was like a 1080p monitor and then I discovered, oh, they came out with 4K. I would totally consider that. But for price, I don't know if I'd mentioned it before. I'll have to look back when I'm editing, but just in case, right now it's about $339 on the website. I paid less than that back about almost a year and a half ago. But again, I also paid a stupid amount for shipping because it was coming from China. And I think now they do free shipping, and I think at this point they stock it in the US, because on the website it says like it's in stock now in the US and in the EU and China. So I think it's probably a lot easier for someone to get it now than it was for like when I ordered it, when I put in the order through like the GoFundMe that punched me through and got all that stuff. And it took a few weeks to get it. I mean, I was so excited when it came. So all in all, this Intehill is amazing. Like I said, it doesn't look bad. It's not like it's attached to my laptop and sliding out and it's small. The response time when plugged into any of my devices is, to me, I think 4 milliseconds. I don't know how people talk about it. For me, that's pretty instantaneous. You know, I see with my eyes no real scary lag like I would if I was using the Duet app that I talked about earlier, where, you know, if I'd plugged my iPad into the Surface 8 as an extended screen or whatever. And I did that back when I was getting my master's degree. I would have my laptop and have my iPad, and then I'd plug it in and use this extended screen, where now I would have totally brought this with me. I don't care how stupid it would have looked, or if someone looked at me and they're like, what are you doing taking up all? I'm like, dude, I'm taking notes, and I'm whatever. Like, I would make sure I'm covered. So if you find yourself traveling, I don't travel as much as I did the past couple of years during the Rona. But if you find that you do travel and you like having that extra screen space, this thing is totally worth the investment. Like going to my conference I just went to, and then I might be starting traveling again coming up this month. Well, this month now, October, through the Christmas holiday, I might be traveling more for church reasons, and I'll have this with me. And like I said, mostly I use it for when I'm just studying and preparatory work. It's the programs I use. For those that would understand, I use Logos, which is a software, and it's nice to have it on one screen and then have my Word document and other things on my either main screen or how flip it, whatever. And it gives me that extra workspace to really be able to focus and not like have things all shrunk next to each other on a laptop screen. So if you find that you travel, whether for fun or for work or for school or what have you, and you like to have the extra space, whether for gaming, work-related, video editing, picture editing, whatever it is, I highly recommend this thing. I mean, it's, like I said, it's been a little trooper for me. No damage, no issues. Like I said, most of the issues I had with this thing were because I was the one that was forgetting what to plug into where to make it proper. But like I said, now that I've kind of, over the past month, was kind of researching it to do this video, even though you're probably like, you sound like you're winging it again. Yeah, I mostly am. But like as I researched, I was like, oh, wow. Okay. So that was, I don't always have to have both Type-Cs being used unless I feel that I need to. Like right now, the Surface on battery power was running this monitor just fine. There was no flickering, no constant communication issues. And like I said, I would have the communication issues between the devices when I was crossing the wires, like not plugging them. Like it seemed to have been picky to me, like which one it wanted to be for power and which one for the monitor when it came to the Type-Cs when they were plugged in. But that could have been just me. I don't know. I'm not the tech. I'm not a tech genius, so I'm not sure if there was a rhyme to the reason or a reason to the rhyme or what have you. The only thing I can say is like now that I really only need to use one, and the only reason I would probably have to use two is probably if I was to ever use this with a Xbox, PlayStation, or I don't know, plug it into this thing. I have no idea, because they obviously wouldn't push out the power that's required for this thing to work, and then I would just use the power brick if I wanted to, or a small little 30 plus watt power or little brick to actually plug into the wall for it. But it's been a lot less stressful. I think the only thing that I have issues with is knowing whether the Type-C cable I'm working with is just power or a data transfer in power, if that makes sense. So I have a bunch of Type-C cables, and I think I might need to invest in some kind of labeling on some of these cables. So if when I grab them, I don't end up grabbing the wrong ones. But that's the only thing I run into, and that's just 'cause it's me. That's just me. So I would highly recommend this product. I'd check out the website below, and I would say totally get one if you feel that you need it. I think this is a perfect tool in your toolkit when you travel, whether you're traveling with a tablet, a computer, PC, your Xbox, your camera gear. This is just an additional tool in your toolbox to have with you to make your workflow or your fun flow, if that's what you want to call it, a lot easier to do. So that's all I got for you today. Just a simple, easy review. So this is Joe with Average Joe's Tech Review, saying if you like and subscribe if you want, leave me some comments. I love to talk back and forth with people. But beyond that, peace out.